Welcome to First Pitch. It's Friday. Great show today, guys. Bryan Leonard and Dave Cokin with us. We're going to take apart every game on the board. Just quickly to let you all know, we did tape the show using the studio today. The entire show was done like that, except we made a mess up. So although the introduction is using the studio, the actual show will be old school. Bear with us over the next week or so as we figure out. There's so many editing tools, so much to go on, and I'm just learning it all as we move forward. So bear with us. And thank you so much for joining us. Dave and Brian, we're going to take apart every game. And really quick, just to let you know, we do have a new format now. We'll be talking in depth about 5 to 6 games every day. And then we're going to have extra innings at the end of the show where we will go through the rest of the board very quickly. Thanks for joining, and I hope you enjoy the show. First, I got to welcome my guests, Dave Cokin and Bryan Leonard. Dave, how are you, and how did yesterday go?
I didn't make a single play yesterday, so it didn't go. I had nothing. But that's not the case today. I've got a free play on one of the NFL exhibition games, a best bet on another one, the other one, I should say. And I haven't posted it yet, but I will do so immediately after we do this show. I'll have a best bet in baseball tonight that I think is an excellent play. And the baseball, well, it's been good, so we'll try and keep it going.
Excellent. Bryan Leonard, before we get into you, really quick note to all the listeners. We're using a new format. So please bear with us. Although the studio is set up, I'm not using the new mic yet, nor the new mixing board. The images behind me are going to be changed as well over the next few weeks. So bear with us as we work out all the kinks. Bryan, man, it's been a while. What's going on over there with you?
Everything's going great. And just like Dave, I passed yesterday. Don't force any plays, and that's why Dave and I win in baseball. And I do have something up for the day card. I gave that to my clients that are seasonal, long-term clients, basically, more than single days. So they've got that play up for the early game, and I'm working on the night card as we speak.
Beautiful. Well, let's talk quickly about what's going on over at wagertalk.com. Cal Sports. Ralph Michaels, he is a 5% max play up at Wager Talk. He's only at 5. This is his 6th play this year in the 5% rating. He is a perfect 5-0. Also, Tony Finn won his 5% yesterday. Kudos to everyone who purchased it. He is now on an 11-1 run. He's also a perfect 7-0 in his last 7 plays. And Carmine Bianco, a 5% play today as well. And he's on a 15-4 baseball run. Boys, what we're going to do now is take a quick commercial break. It's only going to be 30 seconds long. And then we're going to come right back with 5 baseball games. Guys, head over to thegoldsheet.com. Take a look at what we are offering over there. The Gold Sheet is the oldest sports betting publication in the world. It's an absolute must-have for everybody who is either handicapping their own games or even buying plays from any site they would like. Some of the packages start at only $9 a week. You get a full subscription. Just to let you all know, as a special promotion, anything you spend at the Gold Sheet, we will match in wager bucks. Just make your purchase at the Gold Sheet. Email Missy, Missy. That's Missy at wagertalk.com. Let her know about your Gold Sheet purchase, and she will match every cent you paid in wager bucks, which can be used over at wagertalk.com. Okay, we're back. Dave, let's talk Cincinnati versus the Cubs right off the bat. Cincinnati, they came out at -110. It has been moved around the horn, if you will. It's -114 to -116 for the Cubs. Darvish versus Bauer. And we saw a great game by the Cubbies last night. a real nice throttling 12-5 victory. You know, we've spoken about the Cubs struggling on the road, and now, you know, they're a favorite again. And they're playing against a good pitcher. Where are we going in this game?
Well, Trevor Bauer might be a good pitcher, but he hasn't really been a great pitcher this season. He's had too many big innings. The hard hit rate, he's been one of the guys who I think has been impacted by the juice ball because the hard hit rate is up considerably. Very good first time through the lineup, not so good after that. Darvish had the big control problems early in the season. He was falling behind every hitter, getting himself into all kinds of bad counts. His pitch counts were very inflated, but he figured that out, and he's been pitching really solid ball. And here's the big difference. I talked about the hard hit rate on Bauer, over 40%. For Darvish, it's only 29% for the year. That's extraordinarily good in 2019. So I think you've got a pitcher in better form in Yu Darvish, the team. That's a big win for them because they've been struggling so much on the road. To win the first game of the series and blow out the Reds in the process was impressive. I think the Cubs are on a roll right now. I would not want to get in their way, and I agree with the line movement.
Yeah, I'm with you there too, Dave. I like the Cubs, and we're getting such a short number. Bryan Leonard, what are your numbers telling you?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Dave talked about Bauer. Bauer's given up 22 home runs this year in 161 innings. 2 years ago, 25 and 176. So that's on par. But keep in mind, last year, 175 innings, only 9 home runs. That was 16 home runs less than the year before. He was very fortunate last year, not giving up the home run ball. Did another, I think it was another live podcast last night that I was talking about Clevenger. Clevenger's one of those guys that hasn't been hurt by the long ball this year. And in fact, you go back his career since he's been in Cleveland, he gives up a home run basically once every 9 innings, which is the way it used to be before the juice ball. And when he was playing Minnesota yesterday, Minnesota, a hard-hitting team that shoots for the home runs. I thought that was a pretty good matchup for the Indians, although I didn't have any plays yesterday. But yeah, if you give up a lot of home runs, this is probably not the ballpark to do it in. It doesn't seem to be as homer happy as it's been in other years. But Bauer's coming off 2 terrible starts. He had the one in Cleveland where he threw the ball over the fence and ended up getting traded. And then his first game back in the National League, over to the National League, he goes to Atlanta and puts up a 39-game score. This is his first game in Cincinnati. We'll have to say how this goes, but Darvish right now, he's tough to go against.
Yeah, he's been playing really good ball. Washington playing the Mets tonight. Strasburg versus Stroman. You know, I mean, the Mets right now are the surprise team of the last month. This team is really moving. They're moving. They are a half game back. So's Philadelphia and St. Louis. It's going to be an unbelievable race. They're playing Washington today, a team that they are trying to catch. Washington holding the first wild card spot by 2 games. And we had the same line move in this game as we did in Cincinnati, with Stroman and the New York Mets opening at minus 110. And now we've moved all the way around to minus 125 on Washington. They're obviously taking a lot of money. There's 8s on the board as a total, 7.5 at Pinnacle. I like Washington here, Dave. You know, if I can get Strasburg at minus 125 against pretty much anybody other than maybe Kershaw, I'm going to take it.
You know, we saw something interesting earlier in the year where Andrew Kastner had he was having a really good season for the Orioles, but none of the games mattered. And he gets traded to Boston where every game matters, and he has been horrific since that trade. I'm not saying Marcus Stroman's in the same category as Kastner. He's a better pitcher, obviously. But Stroman has basically pitched his entire career in what you could argue is virtual anonymity. And now he's in New York. I know it's his birthplace. He's going home. Very exciting. But there's a lot more pressure on him here. And his first start as a New York Met was not good. He had a 38-game score, did not have good command. And I don't know whether it was nerves or maybe too fired up, but he was not particularly impressive. Also, as good as the Mets have been lately, and no denying, you still have to win the games, but they've been playing the weak sisters. in Major League Baseball. Now they're stepping up in class
Yep.
for a huge series at home against the Nationals, and I want to see how they respond. Strasburg's off a really bad start, but I think I look at that as a blip. I think he's got the pitching edge here, and I'm not quite as sold on the Mets as the masses are right now. They're going to have to prove it to me, and Stroman's going to have to prove it to me as well. Didn't play it, but definitely consider the Nationals here.
Brian, I didn't play it either, but Dave and I both consider the Nationals the play. Really quickly, Stroman was injured 3 years ago or so as the Jays entered their first playoff picture. And he came back for the playoffs. And we saw him go through 2 playoffs, 2 years of playoffs. And this guy is pretty clutch, Dave. He actually pitched outstanding in the playoffs. So I think he is going to step up. But, yeah, I'm with you on Strasburg. What do you like, Bri?
Yeah, this game reminds me of the game we had the other day when the Mets were at Pittsburgh, and the Mets were hot as hell, and money was coming in on Pittsburgh in that game. And I had mentioned after doing this, how many years we've all been doing it, that's a sign, because every Joe Blow, every just your normal guy in the sports book is going to be playing the hot streak with the Mets. And at the time, and it hasn't changed much, Pittsburgh was really cold. I see this being very similar because we've got a New York Mets team that's hot as hell. Washington hasn't played as well as of late. I mean, they're 11-9 their last 20. They played some really good ball earlier, but you take a look at the Mets 15-5 their last 20, and yet the money's coming in on Washington. Dave hit on it. Whereas you take a look at the Mets schedule, just coming off Miami, Pittsburgh, and Chicago, 3 teams not playing well right now. Miami just doesn't have the talent, and Pittsburgh's basically given up, and the White Sox have some injured players out of the few talented players they have and not in the lineup right now. So I think the wise guys are on the right side here. Question is, are we priced out of it at this point? At this point, I'll have to give it a second look, but it'd be Washington or nothing for me.
He's Bryan Leonard, Dave Cokin with us. All 3 of us are found at wagertalk.com. You can also find this show, First Pitch, Monday to Friday, on our YouTube channel, Wager Talk TV, and on just about every iPad, podcast provider out there. See, I am also an old guy, Dave Cokin. I can't even remember what a damn podcast is. A real quick, everybody, Carmine Bianco is on a 15-4 baseball run. We're going to keep a special offer up again today. If you want 1 month of Carmine's plays, head over to wagertalk.com. Use the promo code CARM99. That's CARM99. And also, Tony Finn is on an 11-1 and 7-0 baseball run. There's a lot of 5-unit plays over at Wager Talk, so check it out. Guys, I think, and Dave, you and I have spoken about this. Well, we're gonna do Arizona. So ignore what I just said. Arizona versus Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers came out at -200. Walker Buehler on the mound, best name in baseball. It has been bet down. The lowest number is 172 for the Dodgers. You can find that at 5 dimes. The over and under is 7.5 here. Dodgers are absolutely rolling, and they've been doing it all year. Just an extremely consistent team. And Arizona, man, only 1.5 games back from the wild card spot, but basically playing 500 ball. Arizona's won their last 2 games, 4 of their last 5, and the Dodgers 5 straight in a row. I like the Dodgers here, but I'm priced out. This is a pass for me. What are you going to do, Dave?
Well, the Dodgers are showing signs of maybe going into coast mode as far as their everyday lineups are concerned. They're resting guys here and there, and that's not a bad idea. They're obviously going to win the division, and that's all they care about at this point. So you might see a little bit of relaxing on the part of the Dodgers, no relaxing on the part of the Diamondbacks. And Robbie Ray, this is the new look Robbie Ray. His last 5 starts, he's walked only 4 guys while striking out 41. I mean, that's just unheard of for Robbie Ray. The strikeouts are on par, but he's always been a high walk guy, which gets him in trouble. And yet he is exhibiting great control right now. The problem is even if you look at this and say, well, boy, Robbie Ray's in good form. It's a bigger game, obviously, for the Diamondbacks. Walker Buehler at home is just ridiculous. His average game score over his last 9 home starts is 71, that's just off the charts. He's off the game, complete game, 15 strikeouts. The guy's an absolute monster. He's just a guy I'm not going against. I'm also not going to lay the price in this spot. So this game is pretty much a complete pass for me. I did look at maybe a first 5 under, but decided to pass the game completely.
Brian, before we get to you, I just want to talk about one of the comments on our YouTube channel last night. See, Dave, I'm going to start sneaking small talk in between games so that the listeners can't press fast forward. We had a user, we had a user talk about run lines, and Dave spoke about it yesterday, and then I suggested, hey, put your money where your mouth is. I'll put up $1,000 and take Dave. Guys, I can't do this plan. It was a stupid thing for me to say. I can do it, if I'm doing the plays, but I'm not going to put Dave under that type of pressure where he could lose me $1,000. And furthermore, I'm not going to allow anyone to WWE the handicappers at Wager Talk. We're at the top of the mountain, and we're not going to let people build their reputations beating us over a 30-day period because, hell, we both know that anything can happen over a 30-day period. Brian, what do you like in this game?
Dave touched on Walker Buehler. I just wanted to talk about his strikeout and walk totals when he's pitched at home as of late. Last time out against the Padres, 15 strikeouts, no walks. Before that, he played Miami, 11 strikeouts, no walks. Arizona, this team we're playing tonight, 9 strikeouts, no walks. Colorado Rockies, 16 strikeouts, no walks. I'm not getting in front of that, although it is a little bit pricey here. I do want to make a comment about 2 of the handicappers that you had featured, Tony and Carmine. From what I've been told by upper management, these guys are very streaky, especially Tony. And when they're on a streak,
yes,
you want to ride them. And I'm not nearly as streaky as they are. I don't think Ralph Michaels is nearly as streaky as they are. But when you've got a guy who's on a streak like that, and he's known to be a streak player, just ride it. And I'm sure I'd love everybody to buy my plays, but when you got a streak player that's on a hot streak, just buy their plays.
It's funny how that works because I've had a season where I basically haven't had a big hot streak or a big cold streak. It's just been a steady little climb. And I'm not going to complain about it because I'm well ahead for the season in baseball. But actually kind of like that. Everybody wants to get hot, but, man, cold streaks are just a real bitch. And I like the way the season's gone with just, a fairly steady progression up the mountain.
Well, and it's funny, Brian, Dave, that you say that because there's some handicappers, and I think, Brian, you are a prime example of this when it comes to baseball, where you just got to play the entire season. Like, you're a guy, and we saw it on sales, Brian. You made the most MLB season sales out of everybody at both Wager Talk and Sports Memo, and I think that's indicative of the style of handicapping that you put out, where you're not going through big hot streaks, you're not going through really long cold streaks. It's just a very consistent, grinding, slow build to doubling your money. Whereas guys like myself and Tony and maybe even Marco, we're so streaky that we're probably better off to play for 1 week or 1 month periods rather than for the entire season. So really, really great point, Brian. Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. In fact, Johnny put something up to me the other day that I was the winningest handicapper going back to 2017 when it comes to baseball, which is, I know I've done well, but there's, Dave and some other guys on the site are excellent also. Yeah. So I'm sure they're right behind me. But yeah, it's when you're having these good seasons, people are going to want to join you for the long term, and that's the way it should be. I would much rather have guys joining me for the long term because they know how it is. Everybody's going to go on streaks and all, but consistency, like Dave said, I would love if you could give me any season where I could just win a little bit every week. Yeah. That would be perfect for me.
Yeah, and also it's perfect for the heart.
Yes.
You know, who wants to go? You go 11-1, and then you go 2-8. Oh my God, it's just too much of a roller coaster. It completely affects everything in your life. It literally affects how food tastes, for Christ's sake. San Francisco against Philadelphia. San Fran's got beat on the mound versus Smiley. Again, another around the horn line move. San Fran at -110 as an opener. We've got Philly now at -120. We have an over and under of 8.5. And Dave, 63% of the tickets so far have been written on Philadelphia, even though they've lost 3 games in a row. Both teams again in the playoff chase. Philadelphia half a game back. San Francisco 3 back. San Fran needs to do some winning again. Where are we going in this one?
Well, Drew Smiley is a pretty interesting story because he was horrendous with the Texas Rangers. Just like a 50% hard hit rate. I mean, it's just his numbers were just disastrous. And they finally said, well, that's it. Get out of here. And in the interim, he made a mechanical adjustment. And outside of one bad inning in his last start, he had a bad first inning where he gave up 4 or 5 runs. But outside of that, he's been really good for the Phillies in these 3 starts. He's worked 18 innings, 4 walks, 20 strikeouts. And going back and looking at the hard hit rate, which I said was like 50% with the Rangers, it's only 32% with the Phillies. So whatever he did seems to be working. I know I've mentioned this several times, but I'll say it again. I don't think Tyler Beede is a major league pitcher. I think he's kind of a quad A guy. He has some really bad numbers. His game score average in his last 3 starts is 33. 50 is average. So that tells you how bad 33 is. I found this little nugget on him. In his last 5 starts, his soft contact rate is 7%. That is almost astonishingly low. It means almost everything's getting hit pretty hard or worse. This guy's, to me, a straight go against. I like the Phillies in this game. Agree with the line move.
Brian, what do you think?
Yeah, we talked about this. Could have been last time Tyler Beede pitched or the time before I was on the show. He changed his repertoire a little bit, and he had some good starts. He had a 52, 69, 55, and 80. But from what I've been told, he's just slipped back into the way it was before, trying to do what he was doing before. And as Dave pointed out, it just hasn't worked out. Smiley, I'm always concerned about Smiley because of his injury history. And so he could be out there, throw a pitch, and all of a sudden he's out again. You see that with guys who've been as old as Smiley is. And Smiley, when he's healthy, he's a good pitcher. But, you know, he comes into this game with a 7.01 ERA on the season. Like Dave pointed out, it's a lot different now. But keep in mind, his 2 good starts when he went to Philadelphia was at Pittsburgh and home against San Francisco, not one of the greatest offenses in baseball. So we'll see a little bit what happens here. He'll be facing San Francisco for the second time in roughly a week. It was on the 30th that he faced them earlier. Normally, if a pitcher who I consider a margin type of pitcher of a Smiley's ilk, if they have a good start against that team and this team plays them again very shortly after, I liked it for the opposite to happen, which would mean San Francisco has a little bit better game. I'm going to stay away from this one.
Oh, I just moved the camera. That's going to mess things up on the green screen. I got to get used to that, but oh well, so be it. Yeah, I just want to quickly make mention we're using a new format today as well. I'm using a new camera, and I'm using a new camera placement. So I am struggling to remember to actually look into the camera. Normally my camera is on my computer and it makes life easier, but now it isn't. So bear with us. Last game we're going to talk about in great detail. And as Dave and I have discussed, the series of the week. Minnesota hosting Cleveland. Outstanding game yesterday. Cleveland won. And here we go again. Cleveland, they open up at -135. They've been bet to 145. There's actually a 148 on the board at Bovada. It's Bieber versus Smeltzer. I think, look, Bieber's a really, really good pitcher. I'm getting 9.5 here. I know Minnesota's a big hitting team. I'm going to play the under. Dave?
Well, Shane Bieber's already used to the spotlight because he pitched in the All-Star game at home, big crowd, and he looked absolutely great. He's been pitching outstanding ball for the Indians. Devin Smeltcher's been really good in a small sample for the Twins, but this will be by far the biggest stage he's ever pitched on. And I think that has to at least favor the Indians, and so does current form. I mean, it's as simple as that. The Indians are rolling right now. Minnesota has hit a little bit of a skid this week, and this is the most pressure-packed game the Twins have faced all season long. I agree with the line movement here, which has considerably favored the Indians. I think that makes perfect sense, and I'm not going to be going against it.
Brian, what do you like here, my friend?
The Indians are 23-12 against lefties. Smeltzer's had 3 starts this year. In 27.2 innings, he's given up 5 home runs. 4 of those were to the Indians. He played at Cleveland on the 4th of June. He goes 6 1/3 innings, gives up 5 earned runs, 4 of those being home runs. The Indians, as I said, hit lefties very well. Shane Bieber, and Dave talks about the walkouts, or excuse me, the strikes and the walkouts. It's the walkouts. Strikes and the walks. Strikeouts and the walks. 60-7 his last 7 starts. One of those was against Kansas City. He didn't pitch well at all. 6 strikeouts and 4 walks. Other than that, 8-0, 8-1, 10-1, 9-1, 8-0, 11-0. I just talked about Buehler at home. That's the way Bieber's been lately. He's been on. And if you don't walk many batters, this is not a team you want to face if you're walking batters. As for home runs, he gives up 19 home runs in basically 149 innings. That's about league average or so, maybe a little bit better. I lean Cleveland also here. And Minnesota Cruz swung a little bit too hard yesterday. And he's been the hottest hitter in baseball for the last couple of weeks. Hurt his wrist. He'll probably be on the IL this week.
Yeah.
And that's a major blow for Minnesota. They missed him when they were playing earlier. They were in Miami, I believe, and Minnesota didn't have him playing in the National League. So this is something right here. I like Cleveland, and hopefully they haven't priced me out. Current numbers are showing Cleveland is about a 140, 145 area. That's about as high as I'd go. The 145 is as high as I'd go. But if it goes down a little bit, you'll see me on Cleveland.
He's Bryan Leonard on the Prez. Dave Cokin with us. All of us found at wagertalk.com. Also, we've got a flash sale going on at Sports Memo. So email Drew Martin. That's Drew at sportsmemo.com to check that out. Ask him about it. Boys, we got to pay some bills. Let's take a quick commercial break, and then we're back with extra innings. Carmine Bianco is on a 15-4 baseball run, up a ton of units on the season. You can find him at wagertalk.com, and you can get all of his baseball plays for 1 month for only $99. Use the promo code CARM99. That's CARM 99. Okay, guys, we're back. I'm excited, man. I mean, I just love having the two of you on this show. We've got a lot of games to go through. This is our new format. We take apart 4 to 6 games a day in great detail, and then we're going to have extra innings where we go through the rest of the board, and I mean quick. So let's go, baby. Atlanta, Turan versus Smith. Miami at home. Line started at 160. It's down. There's a 134 at 5 dimes. Dave, talk to me.
Teheran is all about his control. He did not have it in his last start, 6 walks. If that Teheran shows up, even the Marlins can hit him. But he's been mostly good this year. Caleb Smith's been okay for Miami. I think it's priced about right. I would put Atlanta in the 140 range. I think that's where they belong here.
Brian, 10 seconds.
Caleb Smith did not pitch well in his last game. He just didn't look comfortable on the mound. If that comes out again, I wouldn't want to bet on him. I'm passing on this game.
I'm passing as well. St. Louis against Pittsburgh opened at -170 with a 9 on the board. Yeah, Pittsburgh's getting a lot of money. Archer on the mound. It's down to minus 140 at Bet Online, 139 at our friends at Heritage Sports. Dave Cokin, what are we going to do?
Nothing. Chris Archer actually pitched well in his last start, but I don't know whether he can pitch 2 starts in a row that are impressive. He did settle down nicely in his last start. Dakota Hudson looks like he might be hitting the wall. As far as the innings go, he's not in particularly good form, but I don't want any part of the Pirates.
Brian?
I felt the same way about Hudson. He's up to 117 innings now. Game scores of 39 and 29 his last 2. Strikeout to walk ratios last 4, 5, 6, 7 games. He's just not striking out more than like maybe 1.5 to 1 strikeout to walk ratio lately. He doesn't have the stamina as of right now to want to back him, but I hate to have to back Archer, and I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. Agreed, although I do like the over in that game, over 9. San Diego hosting Colorado. Paul Quantrell's son against Freeland. Line open at minus 130. It's been bet up to minus 140. We have a 9 on the board. David Cokin.
Well, Freeland's been a train wreck all season long. Quantrell's in much better form. Only 3 earned runs in his last 22 innings, so he's actually in excellent form. But it's a matchup of 2 dead teams, pretty much. Lean Padres, but I don't want to lay 140.
Brian, I lean Padres too, and I actually don't mind the price here. What do you like?
The concern I have for the Padres is they're 7-16 on the season versus lefties. Dave mentioned Freeland, totally different season than a year ago. But 2 of his last 3 starts, he's pitched very well with game scores of 53 and 65. But he had a 14 against the Dodgers. It is the Dodgers. The Padres don't hit like the Dodgers do. But I won't be getting involved here.
Oakland versus the White Sox. Fires versus.
Listen, the guy's been in the major leagues for like 12 years.
Yeah.
Fires.
Okay. Fires versus Detweiler. Minus 185 was the opening line. It's now up to minus 215. An over-under of 11. I'm passing. Dave, what are you going to do?
That opener might have been short. Mike Fiers, by the way, 18 consecutive starts where he's given up 3 or fewer runs. And the White Sox aren't exactly sending Cy Young out there and Russ Detweiler. I agree with the line move.
Brian?
I really wanted to call him fierce just to piss Dave off. Actually, Fiers' last 7 starts, 1.96 ERA. He's one of those guys, he doesn't strike out a lot of batters. You go over his last 7 starts, 6 strikeouts is the most he's had. I always seem to find value on those kind of guys. I like Oakland in this game. The line's a little inflated now, but there's no way I want to play the White Sox here with Detweiler.
Houston on the road playing Baltimore. Came out at minus 260. Baltimore with Bundy on the mound has taken some money. We're down to minus 235. The over and under is 10.5. I like over the total in this game, and I like Houston on the run line. Dave?
It's all yours. Astros should win. It's in the price. Next.
Brian?
I agree.
Yankees with Happ coming back to Toronto, playing the Blue Jays. Reed Foley, minus 170. It's down to minus 160, 10.5 on the board. Yankees, I think 8 or 9 in a row winning on the run line. I'm going right back to the well. I couldn't sound more square, but I like the Yankees on the run line. And again, I like the over. Dave Cokin.
Yeah, look, if you've been playing the Yankees runs line right along, I guess you might as well keep doing it. I don't think it's a good isolated bet because it's just my opinion on minus 1.5. But I can't argue against anybody who's been betting the Yankees. They just keep scoring these ridiculous amounts of runs. So Giovanni Urshela becoming a star offensive player is the most incredible thing I've seen this season in baseball. Honestly, that guy can't hit a lick, which is why he kept on getting bounced around. And he's having a great season with the bat. It might be a fluke, but boy, I'm telling you, he's been incredible.
Brian, Yankees, Blue Jays.
Just touching on the Urshela situation, the Indians had 2 third basemen. They gave them both away. They're both having pretty good years. It's just ridiculous what happened there. But I'm with you, Prez. How do you not play the Yankees Toronto over? Toronto's a team that swings for the fences. They're
Yep.
playing really good ball right now, uh, bringing up the younger players. Here's the Yankees scores as of late. They scored 12, 14, 9, 9, 7, 6, 9, 4, 7. Play it over.
We're so on the same page. Boston minus 155 to 160 playing the Angels. Boston with a win yesterday. Shut the Angels out. Dave Cokin, what are we doing?
I'm not laying a big price with Brian Johnson. He's just, kind of a fringe pitcher. Don't want any part of the Angels right now who look like they've kind of had it for the season. The Red Sox at least still have scant playoff hopes, and a small positive last night with Sale having a great game, but not enough to get me interested in Boston here. But the Angels, to me, are pass or fade at this point.
No, I'm with you there. And actually, if you're going to be doing any type of parlays today, listeners, I'm not going to bet Boston at minus 155, but I do think they fit nicely into a parlay. Brian
Johnson's last 7 starts, he hasn't gone more than 5 innings in any game. I figured out the reason why. He has to make the concert with AC/DC that night, and he has to get the hell out of the ballpark.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Let's go with that.
Brian Johnson's the lead singer for AC/DC. I just wanted to point that out. I figured you old guys would know that.
Okay.
I don't. I've never been an AC/DC.
I don't even like AC/DC. I mean, okay, you shook me. Highway to Hell, Back in Black. They've got some good songs.
Very impressed.
It all sounds the same, for Christ's sake.
It's all good.
Detroit versus Kansas City. Kansas City minus 151 over and under 10. I'm passing Dave.
You can make a case for the Royals here. I mean, Brent Keller's actually been a shining light of sorts for the Royals, a slightly better than average pitcher who's been in pretty good form. Edwin Jackson, I mean, you got to be kidding. This is an embarrassment. What the Tigers are sending out there is an absolute embarrassment. They're charging major league prices for this. There should be some kind of a lawsuit against them for putting a AAA team on the field and charging major league prices.
Yeah, class action lawsuit. We'll go with that. Bri?
Keller or nothing for me. Keller game scores as of late 65, 50, 71, 48, 77, and 50. Probably pitching the best ball of his career. He's got 11 losses on the season with an ERA of 3.95. That means they don't score a lot of runs when he pitches. But Edwin Jackson, he's got to have naked pitchers and management on all these teams. I have no idea why that guy's still in the league.
I got to mention this very quickly. Edwin Jackson's ERA first time through the order this year is 11.25. And it gets worse after that.
He's not around much, though.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Tampa Bay versus Seattle. I like Tampa Bay at minus 122. Dave?
I don't know about Beeks is actually going to start a game, which he is unfamiliar for him. He usually warms up while the opener is out there for Tampa. So it's kind of a new role for him. He's only a 4-inning guy anyway. I don't want Seattle, but I'm not sure about this situation for Beeks. The market, by the way, is betting Seattle in this game.
Brian?
Yeah, I'd lean to Seattle side. It wouldn't surprise me if Tampa changes their mind and switches the pitchers up. It's getting ridiculous anymore. So I would go action on that if you're looking to play Seattle. You don't want to lose that bet. I'd lean Seattle here. Tampa's actually played a little bit better ball as of late. Obviously, they played some teams that haven't been playing well in Boston and Miami. But when they're up against Toronto, they lose 2 or 3. Seattle, it's actually like 5-5, I believe, their last 10, 9 and 11. Playing a little bit better ball right now. When you're playing a bad team like that, you want to get them on the upswing where they're winning like 1 out of every 2 games. You get plus money on Seattle. I lean Seattle in this one.
Milwaukee minus 200, give or take, against Texas. Pass for me, although I can see myself later on putting a money line Milwaukee into a parlay. Dave Cokin, talk to me.
If the Rangers get to Gonzalez early, they might be able to knock him out of there. But if Gio's got his command on his soft stuff, he can go out there and give the Brewers 5 or 6 innings, which is all they want. They're 11-3 since he put a Milwaukee uniform on last season when he starts. Colby Allard was once a very highly regarded prospect in the Braves organization. Some of the that luster's gotten a bit tarnished. His prospect ranking is not as high as it used to be, but he's got a chance for a new lease on life with the Rangers. We'll see how it goes. No play here.
Brian?
Gio Gonzalez sat out there for a long time this year, and then he had some injuries, but he's a lot better guy to pull off the scrap heap than what we've seen some of these teams do. And Gonzalez gives you a chance to win every time he's out there. Not going to lay that big number with Milwaukee, especially with some of their key players might not play in this game, but it is their first game back from a road trip. They were in Oakland, Chicago, and Pittsburgh, so I usually don't like to play on offensive teams their first game back. So we'll see how this one goes, but I'm just going to sit back and watch.
He's Bryan Leonard. I'm the Prez, Dave Cokin. That, my friends, is First Pitch. Thank you guys so much. Hopefully today was our first day using the studio, and I say hopefully because if you see graphics behind me, we use the studio. If you don't see graphics behind me, we taped the old style way as well, just in case. Can't thank you all enough. Make sure to comment on our YouTube channel, Wager Talk TV. I read them all, and I do respond to almost all of them. We love having you. Brian and Dave, thanks for being with us. And Dave, we'll see you on Monday, and Brian on Friday.